So I'm going to be filming my finale for my Pan That Palette for 2017. This is probably going to go up a little bit late. I've been in Idaho for 2 weekends now, and that's usually the time that I had set aside to film this video. So as soon as this one goes up, then I can have my yearly empties and my makeup inventory go up after this, so keep your eyes peeled for those. I'm pretty sure you guys have noticed that I did not put up update number 11, the 11-month update for Pan That Palette, and that's simply because I just ran out of time. I had so many videos that I wanted to put out that I just decided to scrap that video. It was already filmed, I already took photos of where I was at with my progress on these palettes, so I can insert those in and kind of compare where I was at after the 11-month update and where I'm at right now. I actually haven't touched these eyeshadows since the very last day of December, so I haven't messed with these since then. I'm kind of over them, to be honest. So in case this is the first video you've seen from me on this project, I guess, I picked out these two palettes earlier this year. This is the Urban Decay Feminine palette. It's since been discontinued, and I also have the Urban Decay Original Naked palette. And I've been working on these palettes, trying to finish off as many shades as I can out of them. I definitely feel like I've gotten my money's worth out of these two palettes, and I feel like I've done a good enough job for me personally to be happy. So I will go ahead and insert the photos that I have for the 11-month update right now. And this is where I'm at after 12 months of using it. So from the 11-month update, I just had a little bit left in Skimp. So I had finished that one off since the 11-month update. And I also used a lot more out of Hijack down here. I did use a little bit more out of Lost, but I think I'm done with that one. It's a pretty shade, but I don't think the formula is right anymore. I think it's slowly starting to disintegrate just a little bit. It's slowly starting to expire, I guess is how I would describe it, but they're a lot more sheer than they used to be. This one's probably the most pigmented out of all of them, but it's still a little bit sheer. This shade over here, Gunmetal, I actually have a duplicate of that, and it's in my Naked palette, and that's the shadow that I was panning between the two of them, so I didn't actually touch this one at all. I was only focused on the other 5 shadows in there, so I feel like I did a pretty good job out of this palette. And then onto the Urban Decay Original Naked palette. I'll go ahead and insert the photo from the 11-month update right now. And this is where I'm at after 12 months of use. So if you look in here, it looks entirely different from the last time that I filmed. Quite a few months ago, I had made some custom shadows down here, and I had scraped a little bit out of Dark Horse right here, and I made a lighter green shade. I since finished that one off. I'd mixed it with one of my really light, kind of yellowish green colors from Clinique, my eyeshadows from Clinique, and it was a really pretty color. I just repressed it and finished that one off. And then I also took a little bit of Gunmetal and mixed it in with this one. There's a tiny bit left up in the edges, but I was just kind of over it at that point. So that's what these two pans are down here at the bottom in case you're unaware on what those are. But as far as the actual palette goes, let me move these out of the way. Okay, I took those off so you could see. So as far as the actual palette goes, I feel like I did a pretty good job. I feel like I personally got my money's worth out of this palette. I'm not going to use the other shades that are left in here. The only one that I probably would be Buck and maybe on occasion Smog, but the rest of them, I'm okay with them going. They don't perform like they used to, especially Creep, what is that one? Hustle, and then Dark Horse. They're just really, they're rough, they're hard, they're super tightly packed in the pans, and the color payoff is pretty awful. They don't blend very well, so I'm okay with letting those go. The gold one here, Half Baked, is actually really creamy still, and so is Smog, but Buck is also super tightly packed into the pan as well. I've been working on that one all year and I barely made a dent in it. I had a little bit left in Virgin at the last update, completely finished that one off. I mostly used that one as a face highlight, and I would kind of mix it with some of my other shadows, especially Skimp. That was a really nice combination because this one just had a little bit more of a subtle glow to it. Sin was already finished off from the last time. I did expand the pan quite a bit in Naked, but I just didn't want to ruin my my blending brushes by digging it into the side. So if I would have repressed that one, it probably would have been finished off. Maybe I will. I'm not quite sure yet on that one. There's a little tiny bit left of Sidecar right up in that top corner. I love that shadow. It's my favorite out of this entire palette. I would use that one wet. Mostly I'd spray a little bit of Fix Plus on my brush. A flat synthetic brush worked best for me, and I just put it all over the lid. I really didn't experience fallout with that shadow when I did that, so I don't know. I know a lot of people really don't like that shadow, but I enjoyed it. I also have Buck here. I did expand the pan a little bit since the update number 11 photos, as well as both of these two, Half Baked and Smog. I usually mix Half Baked in with either that teal shade from the Feminine palette, or I would mix it with Smog, because Smog almost has like this really nice kind of yellowy green tinge to it in certain lightings. It's really pretty, but I'm not typically a gold person, but I did find that Half Baked is not that bad. So these two have a little bit more pan in them. I didn't touch this one for a couple months now. Toasted is essentially gone. I have a tiny little bit left in this corner, both those corners down there, and a little bit up at the top there, but I'm considering that one finished. I really had to put down a pink base or a purple base underneath it because it just does not look purple or mauve or anything in the pan. It really pulls those kind of pinky mauvey tones, and yet when I swatch it out on the eye or on the back of my hand or something, it just looks like a brown, like a bronzy brown. So I was really disappointed with that one. I can't quite remember. I don't remember it being like that from the get-go, so maybe the color kind of changed a little bit, but I just don't remember it being like that. I haven't touched Hustle, and I think I used Creep just a tiny little bit, and then I have that little corner left of Gunmetal. I'm okay with it going. I could have used that up. I was actually gonna pull this out and use a couple of the shadows today, and I was like, you know what, no. I've used this for a year. I'm kind of over it at this point. So anyway, that is where I'm at with the Naked palette. I don't think I did too bad. I would say 5-ish, almost 6 shadows were finished out of here, so I'm pleased with that. I feel like it was a success. I definitely didn't finish all the shadows. Definitely keep in mind, I'm not the fastest to pan shadows and finish them off, and I was panning 2 palettes at the time, so I did finish off a decent amount, I felt like, and I got my money's worth. So I could probably do better next year. I'm kind of struggling with what palette I should pull out and use for next year, so maybe you guys could help me a little bit. I did post a photo on Instagram with the 3 contenders. I think I have my mind made up, but I'm kind of going back and forth between 2 of them. So anyway, that was it. That was my finale. I didn't finish everything off, but that's okay. At least I got some more use out of those products, those eyeshadows, and I can let both those palettes go. So I'm very, very excited to do that. Really quickly, I just wanted to interject something here. In case you haven't seen that Instagram photo, I'll just show you the 3 palettes. The one with the most eyeshadow is actually the Laura Mercier Eye Art Artist palette. I love this palette, but the problem with it is that I like it so much that I don't want to use it. I always have a beautiful eye look when I use it, but I'm just not using it because I don't want to hit pan on them and I don't want to have to repurchase it, which is incredibly silly, but this is what the inside of the Laura Mercier palette looks like. It definitely has some neutral shades in here, but it also has those purple tones as well, and I love using this palette. So there's the first one. By the way, the Laura Mercier palette has 12 grams of eyeshadow in it. The next palette that has a little bit less eyeshadow in it, this is the Lorac Pro 2. And this one actually has 8.8 grams. So the Laura Mercier had 12, this one has 8.8. And the inside of this one, I did drop this one. It was on my Instagram, I think I posted it a while back now, but it had fallen off my bathroom counter and it had fallen on the mirror side, so half the palette had shattered, so I had to repress it. And I haven't really touched it much since then, but that is what the Lorac Pro 2 looks like. I really do like this palette, but honestly, I would probably prefer the Lorac Pro, like the original one, over the second one, but this is definitely a contender. I have pan in one of them already. I have a couple dips in the other ones, so there's that one. And then the final one has the least amount of product, and it is this little Givenchy small eyeshadow palette. This one actually only has 6 shadows in it. This is the Givenchy Shimmering Nudes eye palette, and it has 6 grams. This packaging is just gorgeous. This one was sent to me through the Octoly website, and I know it doesn't have a lot of positive reviews, but I think it's gorgeous. You can actually use this palette wet or dry, and the shimmer shades like this one and that one definitely look insanely different when you use them wet, and it looks like these two are the same shade, but this one is a lot lighter, and that one would be like my transition shade. That one essentially matches my skin tone, so I can't really do much with that except for set an eyeshadow base. They really don't swatch very nice unless you get them wet. So this palette is formulated to be used wet or dry, but I prefer using it wet. And then, you know, you can always use the darker ones and get them wet and use them as a liner too. So anyway, this was my third choice. Let me know what you guys think. I'm kind of leaning more towards the larger two. I'm also gonna be panning a trio, a purple tone trio, so I thought either one of these two honestly would go really well with the purple shades in that. So let me know if you have a different opinion. Let me know what you're thinking down below. But anyway, that was my finale for 2017. I really appreciate you guys watching, and if you followed along throughout the year, thank you so much. I appreciate that too. But anyway, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.